Incompetent old man, you're out of place. Just get out already.
Laura, the daughter of a client company's president, was laughing after she had moved my chair outside in the year-end party. This kind of harassment wasn't something new. However, just because it had happened multiple times did not mean I had gotten used to it. Recently, just seeing Laura made me break out in a cold sweat and breathe heavily. "You can't handle this. Call Samuel here."
What? What do you need my dad for?
Someone must have informed others that Laura was causing a commotion loudly. Her father, Samuel, the CEO, appeared. When he looked at me, he started to tremble. "My name is Kevin. I'm 42 years old and work in product development department at a stationery company called Smile Office Supplies. My job is to create stationery products that will be big hits. It's quite rewarding, and I'm always searching for clues for new products in the back of my mind. To work in this elite department, you need at least 7 years of experience in other departments and a track record of success. Thanks to my various ideas and accomplishments, I have the position I hold today. Although the world is digitizing, there's a resurgence in the popularity of stationery, making it a lively industry. I graduated from what is considered a prestigious university, but I have a bit of a complex about it. It's because I failed the entrance exam twice. Even though I finally got into the university of my dreams, I felt old because my classmates were 2 years younger than me. When my younger classmates try to accommodate me in conversation, it only makes me more aware of my age. I majored in economics at the university. The Department of Economics at our university was known to be challenging, and it wasn't uncommon for students to take an extra year or two to graduate. I was determined not to fall further behind, so I studied diligently. Thanks to that, I consistently ranked at the top of my grade. Our department was small, which was a selling point as it allowed for close interaction with other students. Since I was 2 years older than my other classmates, I was always assigned the role of leader and was often depended upon. Initially, I was somewhat resistant, but eventually, I decided to simply enjoy the situation. From there, life became easier, and now I can handle any difficulty that comes my way. The 4 years at university were incredibly intense in many ways. I particularly became good friends with a student named Daniel. He was the same 2 years younger as the rest of my classmates, but wasn't timid and often initiated conversations with me. Daniel and I quickly became close friends and best friends eventually. He is the heir to a company called Smile Office Supplies, which owns a large factory in the region. Smile Office Supplies mainly manufactures pencils, compasses, and notebooks. According to Daniel, he has never used any stationery other than Smile Office Supplies products since he was born. When you actually handle them, they strangely fit well and make it feel like your academic work progresses even more, which is quite curious.
Such stationery is constantly being developed. Thinking about how to make things more convenient while creating products is definitely rewarding.
I greatly resonate with Daniel's way of thinking. Hearing that there is a department called product development where you squeeze out such ideas, I started wanting to work at Smile Office Supplies. After all, my best friend Daniel is the next CEO. If I could work with Daniel, it would lead to a fulfilling professional life. Together, we would continue to create and market convenient stationery products, expanding the company. We talked about such dreams on the way home. So, after I graduated from university, I joined Smile Office Supplies. Explaining it this way, my university life might seem just fun. However, there were certainly issues. Among those who passed the economics department in their first attempt was a female student named Laura. From the first day of the entrance ceremony, Laura started messing with me.
You flunked twice, right? So you're basically an old man now.
Indeed, the 2-year age difference felt significant back then. Even without anyone telling me, I was fully aware that I was the old man among them. Even coming from a mere classmate, being called an old man by a woman was tough. That's why I had a strong aversion to Laura from the start. I made sure not to sit near her, and even changed my meal times in the cafeteria if I saw her. Daniel, who was always with me, helped too, so I rarely had to face her more than necessary. Yet, I'd find Laura often by my side, constantly teasing me. If I'm such an old man, she'd probably have more fun hanging out with the younger male students at university. I couldn't figure out what Laura was thinking at all. One day, another female student from my department told me an unbelievable fact.
Laura might not seem straightforward, but she actually likes you, Kevin.
No way. She's always so snarky whenever we meet.
That's just Laura being not straightforward. Teasing you because she likes you is kind of like a little boy in elementary school.
The female student laughed heartily, but it was no laughing matter to me. I didn't like Laura at all. In fact, just sharing the same classroom air with her was sometimes unbearable.
Why don't you try dating another girl?
When I discussed it with Daniel, he gave me some advice. There happened to be a female student I got along well with, so I decided to casually date her. Then, Laura immediately called me out and asked,
Kevin, are you dating some girl?
Yeah. Susan just confessed to me recently, and we started dating.
What? You're dating Susan? What do you see in such an ugly girl? Stop dating her and go out with me instead.
Indeed, Susan wasn't a breathtaking beauty, but she wasn't ugly either. She had a charming smile. It made me realize again what I disliked Laura's behavior so much. I politely declined the offer. Since then, Laura started to see me as an enemy. In university, I faced blatant harassment and slander from her, so at graduation, the greatest joy was that I wouldn't have to see Laura anymore. However, even after graduating, I couldn't completely sever ties with Laura. Laura's father was the president of a company called Rainbow Paper, a major supplier to Smile office supplies. Despite the digital trend reducing the demand for paper books and notebooks, many stationery products are fundamentally made from paper. Rainbow Paper had the largest factory in the county and handled all the paper production used within the county. They supplied paper for newspapers, magazines, books, bath tissues, and many other products. Although Rainbow Paper wasn't in a superior position to Smile office supplies, the long-standing relationship meant there were many courtesies to observe. John, the CEO and Daniel's father, was thrilled when he learned that Daniel, Laura, and I were all classmates at the university.
We couldn't have better connections. We must cherish this relationship to strengthen the bond between the two companies.
He assigned us to sales, making us responsible for interactions with Rainbow Paper. Daniel and I were both miserable, but naturally, our encounters with Laura became more frequent. Whenever we visited Rainbow Paper, it was uncomfortable, and Laura would always make sure to appear. Knowing that we were handling sales, Laura also took a position in the sales department. Naturally, we ended up having to be in constant contact. Luckily for Daniel, he was less affected. Laura's target wasn't Daniel, but me, the guy who had made her feel miserable during our university days.
Oh, look, the useless old men are here on sales again. Daniel, you've been hanging out with Kevin so much, you're starting to become an old man yourself.
Oh, you got me there. But we're all getting older, and I'll try my best to become a good old man.
Daniel might become a good old man, but Kevin will remain a useless one, no matter how hard you try. There's a limit when your brain is that small.
She had no filter, and all I could do was force a smile and listen. A woman's grudge is a fearsome thing. She never forgot the humiliation of being turned down, no matter how much time passed. As time passed, the environment around us gradually changed. The wave of digitalization reached our small town. When I heard that the public library started a rental service for digital books, I felt the deep impact of the changing times. By then, I was working in the product development department, constantly thinking about new ideas for stationery. Paper books were becoming less popular as e-books became the norm, and children were using tablets without any hesitation. We had to rack our brains over what kind of stationery would survive in such an era. As the world moved away from needing paper, rainbow paper found itself in a tough spot. During these difficult times, I started receiving frequent calls from Samuel, Laura's father. Initially, I dreaded the thought of getting closer to Laura, but Samuel was kind-hearted and personable. He was the kind of man I wanted to help. One day, Samuel invited me to Rainbow Paper's year-end party. Considering future relations, Daniel and I decided to attend. The party was held at a hotel venue in the county. However, when we arrived, there was a single chair placed outside in the hallway. Puzzled, I entered the venue only to find that my seat was missing. That meant the chair in the hallway was intended for me. The culprit was, of course, Laura.
Incompetent old man, you're out of place. Just get out already.
No matter how many times she harassed me, it wasn't something one could get used to. Nowadays, just seeing Laura made me break out in a cold sweat and breathe heavily. If I backed down without arguing, Laura would only look down on me more. Daniel had moved beyond perplexed to outright angry about the situation.
Laura, there was no need for this. We were invited to this party by your father, Samuel.
I booked this venue. It seemed some unsuitable people were invited, so I put the chair outside. But you are welcome here, Daniel. Enjoy the delicious food.
Stop joking. Why are you harassing Kevin all the time? If you keep this up, we'll have to take action.
I placed my hand on Daniel's shoulder as he grew heated and spoke to him. Take it easy. Of course, I wasn't about to slink away just because Laura said so. It's abnormal to carry a grudge from our university days into our current age. I don't know if her obsession with me is the reason, but Laura is still single, just like me. Continuing this hostile relationship benefits neither us nor Laura. Above all, I couldn't keep my feelings in check anymore. I've reached my limit. It's time to put Laura in her place. I sat down on the chair in the hallway, crossing my legs with a haughty attitude. You can't handle this. Call Samuel here.
What? What do you need my dad for?
Laura's loud protest drew attention, and soon, employees started coming out to see what was happening. Curious onlookers began to gather, drawn to the sight of me sitting in the chair and Laura standing, glaring at me. Laura yelled at the onlookers in a frustrated tone.
This isn't a show. Get back inside.
You're the one making it a show. Seriously, keep your voice down. Seeing me behave unusually haughty, Laura was quite taken aback. It's not always possible to keep a kind face to everyone. I had reached my limit and stared her down. Then Samuel appeared, and seeing my face, he started trembling.
Kevin, why are you out here? I invited you to enjoy the party.
Really? Laura called me useless old man. Even is that part of the hospitality?
I'm so sorry. I'll speak sternly to Laura. Please, calm your anger.
Laura looked utterly astonished by the exchange between me and her father. She couldn't understand why her father, the company president, was so deferential to me, an employee of a business partner. Ignoring Laura's confusion, Samuel grabbed her arm and pulled her away from me.
What have you done? If you upset Kevin, our company could be ruined.
Wait, Dad, what do you mean? He's just an employee of a partner company, right? If our relationship gets worse, it's Kevin who would be in trouble, not us.
Samuel, scratching his head, shouted.
You don't understand anything.
In fact, Samuel owed me a great debt. Laura, spoiled by her position as the president's daughter, was unaware that Rainbow Paper was currently facing a severe crisis. The company was just managing to hold on, thanks to a new product I had developed. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy because everything previously made from paper was becoming paperless. Samuel had approached me to develop a product that would use a lot of their paper.
Could you develop some kind of stationery that uses a lot of our paper?
I listened to his plea and decided I wanted to help, so I racked my brains and developed a product. This product could transform into various shapes made solely from paper and perform multiple stationary functions. After preparing it in various colors and designs according to user preferences, the product became a huge hit, and Rainbow Paper managed to avoid bankruptcy. In essence, I became a benefactor to Rainbow Paper. Unaware of these circumstances, Laura was simply dumbfounded. Samuel led Daniel and me to a private room and placed beers and glasses in front of us.
Have some to refresh yourselves.
However, I wasn't in the mood for alcohol and didn't touch it. Laura came in later, trying to listen to our conversation. Samuel didn't send her away but let her sit beside him. Then he looked up at me as if trying to gauge my feelings.
By the way, Kevin, aren't you married yet? It's strange for me to say, being an older man, but I think you're quite the handsome guy. You must be quite popular, right?
As I made a troubled face, Daniel grinned. Daniel had married before he turned 30 and already had 2 children. In that respect, he was ahead of me.
Kevin is popular, all right. But it seems like he hasn't met a woman who really catches his interest. Just.
If you're currently unattached, how about considering Laura?
What? Daniel and I were speechless. Seeing Laura's not so displeased expression only added to the eeriness. Does she even realize what she's just suggested? After treating me with such disdain, the idea of her being a bride candidate is baffling.
It may just be my assumption, but perhaps the reason both Laura and Kevin have stayed single is that you've been aware of each other. If you has been alone because you couldn't forget Laura, Kevin, maybe you should reconsider now.
Even after such rude behavior. That's astonishing.
I think it's because Laura's heart has only ever been set on Kevin. Perhaps you have noticed her feelings too, Kevin.
I felt a mix of embarrassment and hilarity. The idea that I've stayed single all this time because I was pining for Laura was so ridiculous it almost made me laugh. I first looked at Laura, then turned decisively back to Samuel and said, I appreciate the offer, but I already have a fiancée. We met when she was quite young, so I waited for her to grow up.
What? No, Weren't you unable to give up on me, staying single because it was hard to start the conversation after you had once turned down dating?
You're very optimistic. Even if it were just you and me left on Earth, I'd still pass on marriage. My fiancée, Ashley, and I met 10 years ago. At that time, I was 32 and Ashley was only 12. She was the daughter of a CEO who owned a plastics factory, and I was captivated by her beauty. Back then, I wasn't thinking about marrying a 12-year-old girl, but as Ashley grew older and more beautiful, no other woman caught my eye. When Ashley graduated from college, I mustered up the courage to propose.
If you haven't found another man you love by the time you're an adult, would you marry me?
Yes, I'd be honored.
Thus, I waited for Ashley to grow up, and as soon as she graduated from college, I went to her parents to formally propose marriage. Her parents, charmed by my character, gladly agreed, and Ashley and I formally got engaged. I took out my smartphone and showed Samuel and Laura a photo of Ashley and me together. Ashley, smiling beautifully, is my pride and joy as my fiancée. I hate to say it, but Laura, frankly, can't really be called beautiful, and she has put on weight as she's aged. Even if she were to compete with Ashley, she couldn't match her in any respect. I have no intention of tying Ashley down at home even after we marry. She majored in robotics engineering in college and has secured a job at a local research institute. I fully support her career. While listening, Laura could only glare at me in frustration. Furthermore, Laura and Samuel were about to hear some very shocking news. Daniel spoke apologetically.
I'm sorry to say this, but we plan to end our contract with Rainbow Paper at the end of this year.
What? Why? This is troubling. Even though we're hosting this year-end party to keep up appearances, the reality is that we're in a tough spot.
In fact, it's already decided that at the beginning of next year, Daniel will succeed his father as the CEO of the company. Aligned with this change, a corporate restructuring will take place, and the stationery I developed, which saved Rainbow Paper, has been slated for discontinuation. Samuel desperately tried to persuade him, but Daniel's decision remained unchanged.
This is a problem. Really, can something be done?
It's the company's decision. There's nothing we can do.
While Daniel mentioned it was company policy, part of the decision was also made with me in mind. The stationery that saved Rainbow Paper had once brought significant revenue to Smile Office Supplies, but now the finances are slightly in the red. As long as Smile Office Supplies continue to deal with this stationery, ties with Rainbow Paper wouldn't end, and I would constantly be followed by Laura. With my upcoming marriage, it was an important decision to firmly break ties with Laura. True to his long-standing friendship, Daniel had really considered my situation. The plan was to keep the patents and pass the know-how on to another stationery manufacturer. However, for Rainbow Paper, this would mean cutting off their last lifeline. Already operating at a loss, they would likely not recover. Laura, realizing that her presence was related to this decision, seemed to finally understand the impact. She glared at me, baring her teeth and growling lowly.
Is this your way of getting back at me? I just wanted you to notice me. And yet, you take everything I've done as spite and harass me in return.
You can take it that way if you want. It seems the only way to respond to persistent harassment is with harassment in return. Your harassment has been excessive. I'm getting married, and I want to cut ties with you. Laura gritted her teeth in frustration. Seeing Laura like that, I felt a sense of relief for the first time in a long while. Soon after this unbelievable year-end party, Rainbow Paper and Smile Office Supplies completely parted ways. Daniel's first act as the new president was to form a new contract with a different paper company. Given Smile Office Supplies' reputation and quality, several paper companies were eager to collaborate. Among them, we managed to secure a contract with a company headquartered in the city center, prompting us to also relocate our headquarters to the city. Going forward, we will continue to develop new stationery that can be used in both digital and analog formats. The times are always changing, and it's difficult to keep up with the flow. But it's also very important. With Daniel's new presidency, I was appointed as the executive director, and together we will lead the company. We continue to realize the dreams we had during our university days. Meanwhile, Rainbow Paper struggled to find new business partners. Their already poor performance worsened, leading to the eventual closure of their factory. From now on, we can't just continue to produce only paper. The upper management is holding meetings to discuss the need for a change in direction. Not only the company, but Laura herself did not give off easily. The following part of the story was told to me as gossip by a female friend from university. Laura had been freely moving from department to department, using her status as the CEO's daughter, but it seems this had been quite bothersome for the employees. This time, Samuel could no longer defend her. Many involved have pointed out that it is precisely Samuel's leniency towards his daughter that has put the company in its current precarious situation. Discussions suggest that Laura's continued single status might be too comfortable, leading Samuel to make a tough decision and sever parental ties. Evicted from the family estate she had lived in for many years, Laura now needed to find a new job. However, having lived as the CEO's daughter, the idea of being employed by someone else was too much for her pride. But she had no choice, and she rented a small apartment and started visiting the employment agency. There were few companies willing to hire a 40-year-old woman with no qualifications or skills. Due to her lack of effort over the years, she couldn't even operate a computer properly, making it impossible for her to secure the office job she desired. Laura managed to get a job as a building cleaner, where she had to wake up early in the morning and do physical labor. Although many of her colleagues were women of her age, Laura's haughty attitude caused problems, and she struggled to form any close relationships. Gradually, the workplace became unbearable, and she eventually quit the hard-earned job she had finally secured. She decided she was done with working and next registered at a marriage bureau to start looking for a partner. However, the criteria she set were too high, and it seemed hard for her to find a match. Eventually, believing in a future with a man she met on social media, she sent him all the money she had. After that, the man cut off contact and disappeared like smoke. Reluctantly, Laura apologized and returned to her job in cleaning services. Her living conditions worsened. She moved into a cheaper apartment with a shared bathroom, barely managing to get by. Meanwhile, I happily married Ashley. Our wedding, between an executive director of a major company and a researcher at a state-of-the-art lab, was a grand affair. Local reporters and photographers attended, and our photo appeared in the evening newspaper. Thus, our married life began. Both Ashley and I continue working, respecting each other's careers. We hope to have children someday, but since Ashley has just started her job, we decided to enjoy our life as a couple until we can arrange a stable outlook. Life with Ashley is always fresh and enjoyable. Despite our busy schedules, walking together in the early morning has become our routine. Breathing in the crisp morning air and walking hand in hand, we feel an incomparable joy.